In today's video, we're checking out the Saramonic Soundbird T3 directional shotgun condenser microphone. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, folks. This is Shane. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and also click the bell if you're into audio and video product reviews and tutorials. So today we're checking out this Soundbird T3 shotgun microphone. This is a condenser microphone that could be used in a very similar situation to this. So while we do the unboxing, what I'm going to do is leave my Rode NTG-1 microphone connected, so when we do swap over, you'll have a frame of reference. Now, this NTG microphone is good, but it's not great. It's not one of my favorite microphones out there, so I'm hoping this microphone will be a whole lot better. Just to let you know, I have this microphone attached directly to my GH5 running in overhead mode. It's about this far away from my mouth, give or take, and it's just out of shot of this primary camera, which will be the main way most people will use them. Occasionally you'll see them on the desk as well, just on a stand. You can use them like that as well if having them out of shot isn't really a big deal for you. And just to let you know also, Saramonic have sent this out for the review. They're not paying me in addition to letting me keep this. They're not seeing the video before it goes up, so all thoughts about this will be my own. Firstly, let's see what we get in the box. Whoa, man. Wow. So, this is really surprising. I thought in this box we were just going to get another little box or everything sort of packaged within it, but we actually get a hard case. That is really, really great. That sort of sets it apart from a lot of other microphones on the market. That's really good. Whew. In the box we get a microphone zip bag. We get a foam windshield. We also get a microphone clip. We get an XLR cable. We also get a micro USB to USB cable, which is designed to charge the internal battery within this microphone. We also get a professional shock mount in case you want to run this on something like your mirrorless camera if you're going to be using it handheld. And we get the microphone. So my first impressions of this is it's built extremely well. It feels every bit as high quality as my Rode microphone above me, except it's a little bit heavier, and that would be because it's got the internal battery. And yeah, I really think this is built really, really well. Recently on the channel, I had a chance to review Saramonic's competitor to the Blue Yeti microphone, which was a far better microphone. It is more expensive, but it's also far better, so I'm really keen to see what we can get out of something like this. On the front of the Soundbird T3, we have 4 different buttons. The first one is a 150 Hz high pass filter button. This reduces the low end. So say you've got a lot of traffic going by or something like that, and you want to isolate your subject away from that low end rumble, you can easily do that. Or if you've got your microphone sitting on the desk, but you're banging your desk, it will help get rid of those low end frequencies. The second button is a +6 dB high frequency boost. This is especially useful if you're using it with the provided windsock, or if you're running it with something like a dead cat. You can sometimes lose a little bit of high-end frequency when you run a foam filter over the front. That's quite common. So you can get that back by adding in that high boost. The third button on here is a -10 dB pad. Now what this will allow you to do is to record much louder sources without distorting the input gain on the microphone. This only has a maximum sound pressure level of 105 decibels. Now while that might sound like a lot, it really isn't that much. Having that 10 dB pad reduction allows you to record something up to 115 decibels, which is extremely loud. Think a really loud band at a gig. The last button on the front is an on-off button, so you can power the microphone simply by turning it on and off. Underneath the microphone where we have the XLR input, we also have the USB input, so that's where you charge the microphone. One of the cool things about this microphone, when we turn it on, you don't have to use the internal battery all of the time. If you're using it with some sort of mixer or preamp that already has phantom power, it will opt to use that and the light will change from blue to green. So if you're running it on phantom power, you'll see a green light come up, and that will be saving that internal battery and not using it whatsoever. If you have low power and you're using this on the internal battery, the light will go red. As you can see, it's currently blue. So without further ado, I'm going to hook this up and replace the Rode NTG-1, which is above my head. And there's not going to be any post-processing on this video in terms of the audio, so what you're about to hear is exactly the same settings. I'm not going to mess with anything unless something's clipping on my reference screen here, but I highly doubt it. Let's do it. What you're listening to now is the Saramonic Soundbird T3 in exactly the same spot right above my head. It's out of shot on my primary camera. The wide shot, you can see exactly where it's set up. Now on the road previously, I did have this little windsock on. I just usually leave them on because occasionally I use them as a desk microphone. So we'll try it with the Saramonic windsock on in just a moment, but I'm going to go through some of the specs about this microphone and what you need to know. Like most shotgun microphones, the Saramonic Soundbird T3 is a cardioid polar pattern, which means it picks up mostly anything that's in front of it and tries to reject sound from behind. We have a frequency range of 75 to 20 kilohertz, and it has a selectable high-pass filter, which enables at 150 hertz, which I mentioned earlier. This microphone sensitivity comes in at minus 38 dB, which is great because it means it will work with anything. Unlike a lot of dynamic podcasting microphones where you need to get a cloud lifter or an SC Dynamite, review up here, you don't need any of that with something like this. It will just work. We have a maximum sound pressure level at 105 dB, a high pass button which enables at 150 hertz. We also have a high frequency boost, which is that plus 6 dB, which I mentioned earlier. The output impedance is 150 ohm. We have a dynamic range of 125 decibels. We have a signal to noise ratio at 80 dB SPL, which is sound pressure level. We have a high pass filter button at 150 hertz. In terms of the microphone's weight, it's surprisingly light, coming in at 240.5 grams, which is 8.48 ounces. Its length and dimensions is 28.2 centimeters by 2.2 centimeters by 2.2 centimeters. So it's like a circular 2.2 centimeters, and it's, 28.2 centimeters long. Now the Saramonic Soundbird T3 has up to 150 hours of use time on the internal lithium-ion battery. How great is that? So once you charge it up, you can run it for up to 150 hours. That's insane. We get a solid brass construction, which means it's a step ahead of a lot of other microphones out there on the market. So in terms of its build quality, it's built extremely well. Another huge addition to the Saramonic Soundbird T3 is it has gold-plated connectors. Now, in my opinion, that doesn't always mean much in terms of sound quality, but it's just a sign of quality, so you can look at it that way. Without question, two of the other major highlights would be that minus 10 dB pad, as well as the high pass filter. I think having both of those are really functional, and I'll show you those right now. What you're listening to is the Saramonic Soundbird T3 microphone in exactly the same position as before in flat EQ mode. What you're listening to now is the Saramonic Soundbird T3 with the high pass filter enabled. What you're listening to is the Saramonic Soundbird T3 with the treble boost enabled. What you're listening to now is the Saramonic Soundbird T3 microphone with the treble boost and high pass filter enabled. This is how the Saramonic Soundbird T3 microphone sounds with everything back to flat. And lastly, this is how the microphone sounds with the minus 10 dB pad engaged. So this is how the microphone sounds using the provided windsock. I've got the microphone in exactly the same position. This is how the microphone sounds with the treble boost feature on using the provided windsock. Now, if you do plan on using this microphone with your mirrorless camera, it comes with a mount for the hot shoe, so you can simply just slide it in, lock it down, and then put the microphone through here. So what I'm going to do now is have a quick listen to all of the audio that I've just recorded, and then I'll give you some of my final thoughts, not only about how it sounds on its own, but how it compares to the Rode NTG-1. So after listening back just through my iMac speakers, I could hear a big difference between both of these microphones, and depending on what you're listening to it through will determine how much of a difference you can hear. But just to let you know, the iMac speakers were enough to notice a big difference. What I noticed was two things. The top end frequencies on the Saramonic are so much less harsh than on the Rode NTG-1, making it for a more pleasing experience, at least to my ear. I also noticed more of a chesty sound with the Saramonic. It sounds bigger and fuller, even at the same distance than the Rode NTG-1. And it's not surprising that it's a better microphone given the amount of features it has. That doesn't always determine if something's a better microphone, but I had pretty good expectations for this microphone, and after hearing it back, I can clearly tell you that there's a much better microphone than the one that I can compare it to, which is this Rode NTG-1. A massive thank you to Saramonic for sending this out for the review. I really appreciate it. If you want to find out more about this microphone, Links will be in the description below. They help support the channel at no extra cost to you. So let us know what you think of the audio quality of this. Usually I'm using a lav microphone. Every time I use a shotgun microphone, I'm like, I should use a shotgun microphone. It sounds so much better. And in a stationary sort of situation like this, where you're indoors and you have more control over the audio within your house, it's absolutely a great choice. You get a nice big full warm sound. The only downside to a shotgun microphone, I should point out, over a lav microphone, is if I turn away, it's gonna drop my voice out a little bit. But if you're stationary for most of the video, shotgun microphones sound fantastic. Thanks again, catch you soon. See ya.